Welcome back to another video. I am Scott with Techno Eclipse, and today I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the Pixel 3 XL and Pixel 3, why it's not as bad as everyone's saying, and what they could do to actually fix it and make it really good and really competitive, and I bet a phone that a lot of people would be really interested in. So, if you like tech videos and you like my new haircut, don't forget to kill that subscribe button and tell your friends and family, because they'll definitely want to hear about you subscribing to the greatest channel on YouTube, because it's actually really hard to get subscribed to this channel. I know not a lot of people do it because this is an exclusive club we have here on Techno Eclipse. So, why doesn't the Google Pixel 3 XL suck as much as people are saying, and how can they fix it? Well, one is going to be actually design. I don't really care that the notch is a little bit thicker. Who really cares? Honestly, I know people like to complain about it, but they added some cool functionality with that camera that takes that wide angle. That's really nice because a lot of people don't want to take a photo like this where they're looking at the back of their phone. They want to take it in a way where they're like, oh, like what am I doing? What does my face look like? Because when you're taking a selfie, clearly you're a little self-obsessed and you want to look good in the picture. That's why you're taking a picture of yourself. And you definitely are going to want to be able to see what you look like in the picture before you take it. And you want to be able to take a picture with a lot of people that you like in the picture as well. It's a way more convenient way, instead of trying to stretch, take a picture with the back facing you and then, trying to fit one of the 15 pictures you had to take to actually, find one that looks good. So I think that's a big advantage. And it's unique. I mean, yeah, it's got a notch and whatever, but it's got the speaker at the bottom, and it's some people might not think it's the best looking phone, but at least it's unique. It doesn't just directly copy the iPhone 10. Yeah, it has a notch, but it does some things that actually I kind of don't hate. At least they're trying something else, and they're not just like, oh, Apple did this, I'm going to do this exactly to the T. There are a million examples of that where you can see that the company just copies exactly what Apple did. And it's kind of frustrating, a little bit disappointing from those companies. But I'm glad Google tried to do something different. Yeah, people might not like it as much, but what are you going to do? Next is the Google ecosystem. And I know that might sound kind of weird, but if you've ever had like a Samsung Android phone, you have to sign into your Google account for Android and then your Samsung account to like start using the phone. And it's nice that you can just have one account and it'll link everything to that one account. You don't have to sign into 4 different accounts, try to find the one account that it has it on there. If you just have your one email and your one Google account, it'll save everything, all your photos, all your emails, and all that stuff, all that information, because they're kind of mining it, but they'll save all that information for you, so that way you can easily access it later on if you need to go to the website. Like, you can access this information in these pictures from anywhere. It's a great feature. I know it's available on every other Android smartphone, but I like the fact that there's not like a secondary login. It's just you log into your Google account and then you're good. Next is pricing. That might sound silly, but $900 for the flagship top-end model of their phone is cheaper than Samsung's and is cheaper than Apple's, probably 2 of their direct competitors. Kind of nice. Still expensive, but kind of nice. The biggest problem with that I'll get into a little bit later on in the video, and it's something that they could really change and I think would really help the whole Google Pixel lineup out. And finally, the last thing is that there's no camera bump. I know this sounds weird, but it's kind of nice not having a camera bump. I know on my iPhone 8 Plus, there's that big old camera bump right there. You can see that camera bump right there, and it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's kind of obnoxious, and it's nice to not have it anymore. I mean, iPhones haven't not had a camera bump since the iPhone 5S, which was a very long time ago, even though they're still supporting it at Samsung phones, and I guess Google phones too. So those are all the things that I actually kind of like about the Google Pixel 3. I know it doesn't have some of the things that iPhones might have, or even Samsung phones. It doesn't have those exclusives. And I think where Google could really change the game is going to be on these next couple of things, and one of them is software exclusives. Android is open source, and Google sort of already has done this with their camera, and their camera software is so good, so much better than the competition. I mean, any competition. You can look at Apple, you can look at Samsung, you can look at Huawei, you can look at OnePlus, you can look at any of those companies and see that the Pixel just has the best camera on a phone. Whether it's actually that good compared to like a real DSLR is to be determined later, but again, with software, it's really, really nice. But I wish I could add some more exclusives to the phone and make it worth our while, instead of just making the phone with the exact same stuff that every single other Android phone can have. I don't know what kind of exclusives they could offer. Maybe more storage on the drive, on Google Drive, or I don't know, something that entices the user. Maybe like if you own a Google device, you get YouTube Red and you get YouTube Music for free. Some type of exclusive where people are actually interested in purchasing the Pixel instead of saying like, oh, it's nice, but I can get the Galaxy S9 for a much lower price because those have been out for months and they have the exact same specs. And that'll lead me into my next point, where I think Google needs to either release their phone a lot earlier in the year or be able to get Qualcomm's latest and greatest Snapdragon chip before everybody else, release it the second that that chip becomes available to the, I guess not the public, but to the public, but to the businesses that can then put it in their phones and make it available to the public. They could do something like that, maybe like a hardware exclusive, like they're the first phone to get out of the gate. But that's like their problem, is they're following every other company has released their phone by September. Once Apple releases their phone, pretty much every single company has released their phone, and then Google's like, yeah, a month later we're gonna release a phone that'll be pretty much out of date and out of spec within 4 months. So it's kind of disappointing because they're in a weird spot where if they could just wait like another few months, they could actually be beating the competition on their specs instead of being dead last, because the cost per spec is too high in my opinion, because they're just coming out with everything a lot later in the year, whereas Samsung has had the Snapdragon 845 in their phones since March, and a lot of other companies have had them way months before, which also means that these companies have had time to run deals and can still be running deals when the Google Pixel releases, and people are going to be like, why would I get an Android phone with a Snapdragon 845 and 4 gigabytes of RAM? Yeah, it has a good camera, but why would I get that phone for full price $900 when I can get the S9 Plus or the S9 for a much lower price, because they have been reduced throughout the year because they've been out for months. I mean, they've been out for almost 7 months now. So I think that's where they could compete, is maybe either coming out with them later in the year or waiting till the next year and then being early in the year, waiting for Qualcomm to release their most recent Snapdragon chip. Or the last thing would just be pricing their phones more competitively and maybe, you know, chinching out on a little bit of the good stuff, like taking out some of the premium features a little bit and sort of reducing that down to a little bit less premium, like the way OnePlus does it, and selling their phones for like $500-$600. I think that would really entice people to buy these phones. The final thing is, don't let everything leak again, and don't play it up like that. If you were gonna play it like that, they should have had it planned in a way where they were gonna release another phone, or like the actual Pixel Ultra, or honestly, like, fire everybody who is involved in this, because clearly none of them can keep a secret. Those are just my opinions. The Google Pixel 3 is not nearly as bad as people think. It's only bad because your expectations were here, and your normal expectations should have been here when the phone delivered around this area. That's the problem, is everyone's expectations were too high. Google's own fault, and I think it kind of backfired, and I think it will backfire. They'll learn from it, and I'm sure they'll come back bigger and better next year. But who knows? Maybe worse. Or maybe they won't release a phone if this one does as bad as the last few had, because they've only sold 3 million phones in 2017, which is an absolute joke. Apple sells that many in like a week. Alright, this has been Scott with Techno Eclipse. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button and tell everybody you know, because remember, it's an exclusive club you're joining right there. Not everybody can join it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.